Later the same day, we've come to the Royal Artillery Barracks in Woolwich. This is where thousands of men from London, like Privates Steele, Wallington and Meade, signed up and trained for the Great War. We're here to make contact with the relative of our last potential soldier, Private Frank Meade, his great-nephew in America.
Oh my goodness, Paul!
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
So I'm Davina, and this is Nicola. I just wanted to ask you a few questions, if that's all right.
Oh, perfectly.
I mean, was Frank Meade somebody that you knew a lot about in your family?
We have learned a lot more, and we're hoping to learn more to be able to connect yourself to the history of your family, who shaped you, who makes you who you are. Especially now that we live here in the States, it only brings you together because we all share that heritage.
Well, we did get the results of
The DNA test. And it is a match.
It's wonderful. It really is. Nicola, thank you so much.
So it's fantastic news, obviously, you know. I'm just so pleased that we've managed to name him and that he's finally going to get a resting place.
He'll be buried at the same time as the two other lads that he was with.
You know, it'll be, this may sound strange, really wonderful to meet those other families. Because he never had children, he never had a family of his own. These would have been the people who he was probably closest with, and they died together.
They were actually deliberately buried by their comrades in a back garden.
Wow.
So with special care, and now, you know, they're going to be buried in their named grave.
I wouldn't miss this memorial service for anything.
So it is him?
It is.
No.
Oh, okay.
Nicola told me that when he fell in battle with his two other mates, the other soldiers buried them in a garden before they moved on. I thought that was very touching, that they would do that after 101 years to find the remains. And there's going to be a full honor burial.
He died at 23, but, you know, his story is going to continue on.
It's the day before the military burial for Case 370. 3 soldiers from the London Regiment found in a garden together in northern France. Attending the ceremony will be the Meade family, who have travelled from California to the town of Arras. During the war, Arras was on the front line, and thousands of British troops, including the London Regiment, would have passed through its streets on the way to the trenches. Today, the Meades are following in their footsteps as they arrive to commemorate Great Uncle Frank, who has been found at last.
There was a sense of relief, you know, for us that it was his remains. From his letters, he was a very insightful young man. We know he deeply loved his family, especially his younger brother. A little bit of who Frank was, you know, and wherever that comes from, wherever Frank got it from, I think it's in all of us too.
You know, and that just gives me kind of a lump in my throat just thinking about that. To Frank.
And to Frank.
Uncle Frank.
Great Uncle Frank.
Tomorrow, Frank will be buried by the Princess of Wales Royal Regiment, the modern descendant of the 23rd London Regiment that Frank served with.
It's very important to us, and, you know, it's important as well that the regiment are involved and they can see, no matter when he died, whether it was 100 years ago or yesterday, they're still going to be remembered.
Frank will be laid to rest alongside 2 of his comrades in arms. One has been identified as Private Henry Wallington, whose half-niece Margot will attend the ceremony. Sadly, for the last soldier, none of the potential relatives who did DNA tests were a match. His identity remains a mystery, and at this point, he will have to be buried as an unknown soldier. But there will be someone attending who wants to pay her respects to him. Sandra White's great-uncle John was killed at the same time as the other soldiers, but the DNA results didn't match, so his body has not been found. Despite this, Sandra's made the trip to France for the ceremony.
I wanted to come really, mainly for the boy who's not been named. It's just so sad that someone's gone through all that and died, and there's nobody there for him. So me and John will be there just to say goodbye to him.
The closest Sandra can get to saying goodbye to John himself is to see his name commemorated on the Combray Memorial.
Hello, how you doing? I'm fine, thank you.
Have you found John?
Yeah, he's here.
Oh, wow.
And it's just wonderful to see his name in stone. It's just marvellous. I mean, it'll always be there. You know, I can't stop touching it because it's just so real to me.
It's really nice for me to see their three
Together.
names together.
Seeing John amongst all these people, all these soldier boys, well, they are boys to me, I get a sense of comradeship. He wasn't alone.
Yes.
When his time came, so that gives me
Comfort.
a warm heart. Yeah.
And is that part of the reason why you've come for the unknown soldier?
Yes. Because I'm so proud of them, and just to say thank you doesn't seem enough, but there isn't any other words that I can say really. Thousands of them are so young to give their life for us.
Today, Frank Mead, Henry Wallington, and the unknown soldier will be buried at the Commonwealth War Graves Commission Cemetery, Hermes Hill.
Hi Margot, how are you?
Okay, thank you.
How are you?
Nice
to meet you.
For each relative, this ceremony means something different. For Paul, it's a chance to get to know the British side of his family that he knows so little about. For Margot, it finally lays to rest a family secret. And for Sandra, it's an occasion to honour her great-uncle John. But for all of them, it brings them closer to their long-lost fallen soldier.
Present. Up.
You know, with 3 kids of my own, from the time your children are born, you dream about what they might accomplish and do in life. And I'm sure the regret and this loss would have overwhelmed his parents, knowing that they would never see that.
We stand before 3 of the brave, and we remember them this day.
I am the family face. Flesh perishes, I live on.
Actually finally seeing these 3 boys being put to rest, you know, when you've worked on a case for so long, we learn to love them and accept them as part of our family. So when it comes to this day, it's just as emotional for us as if we were real family to them.
Today we give a place to 3, where many still don't have a place. We therefore commit their bodies to the ground, earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
the sun and in the morning. We will remember them.
We will remember them.
I do feel a closure thinking of my John. You know, I know he's died and I know he's not here, but he's with me in spirit. Yeah, just praying for them all today, just to rest now.
I had a very emotional connection when Frank was being laid to rest because I feel he was a lot like my father, who perished way too young. And I think Frank, even though he never had children himself, I think he's alive in us, and that will continue on forever.
Case 370 is closed.